Hey everybody, welcome back to Interview with a Therapist. Today we have with us Shelby. Shelby is a new clinician in our Louisville office, and she specializes in working with LGBTQ. Shelby, since you do specialize with working with them and specifically with LGBT youth, I would love for you to start out by talking about why this is something that you're really passionate about.
Yeah, so I have always been really passionate about working with this population. And I think a huge part of that comes from a desire to give back to a community that has given me so much, and especially a community in need. Um, and it's just a wish to be a type of therapist that I needed when I was younger and I was in the community. I really struggled when I was younger with my identity because I grew up in small town, middle of nowhere, Indiana, and I was from a very religious family. And my discovery of who I was involved a lot of denial when I was younger. And I buried those feelings so deep that it caused a lot of damage to myself in the process. So I think that's where that comes from. And I want young members of my community to know that they have someone on their side that they can relate to, and someone who's been through what they've been through. There's nothing wrong with like therapists taking a training on working with LGBT youth and like learning from that. But I think there's something really personal that comes from having a therapist who has been through that and like knowing where they're at in that journey. Obviously, I don't understand everything you're going through, but I think I can understand the core of what they're going through. And it's also just the community is extremely underserved and they're at risk for higher suicide rates and addiction. So I really want to be there to like lend an ear and help them out. And for a lot of people, they don't get that from their immediate family. So I really want to be there for that.
Yeah, I love that. You mentioned this a little bit before, but like there are a lot of like pressures and opinions, and some of them conflicting, and it kind of comes at you from every which way, especially when it comes to coming out, how to come out, when to come out. So what is most important for LGBT youth to know about coming out, and what should they think about when they're considering that? And what should they think about when they're thinking about who to come out to?
It's a really big question.
Yes.
It's a lifelong thing, I think, because there are still people that I have to come out to. Like I have to come out to doctors, and when I, meet a new friend, I have to come out to them. So I think the most important thing for an LGBTQ youth member to know is that coming out is for you, no matter what anybody else says. It's about showing up in the space that you're in and saying, I am who I am, and you can accept it or not. And it doesn't change who I am. We watch a lot of movies and shows where coming out is a big thing with a lot of fanfare. There's like one big coming out scene and suddenly like everybody knows. And the reality is that you have to come out over and over again. And you have to make that decision of like who is safe to come out to and who's not. And sometimes that requires a leap of faith. I think when you're young, you think that coming out is one time of like insane courage and you're done. And it's not. It's a long process. And like every time I get a new job or make a new friend, I have to think, okay, is this person safe? What will I do if they don't respond well, and weigh my options? And it's really scary sometimes. So I think it's really important for young people, especially like people who are not financially independent or like, they don't feel safe within their families, to weigh their options of like, if you don't feel safe coming out to certain people and you have a nagging feeling that it's going to end badly, like no one in the community is going to judge you for that. And if they do, then that's not somebody that you want to be around anyway. Coming out is very personal. It took me a long time because my family, like I said, was very religious. So it took me a long time. So I think that it's important to like understand that. Something I always think about is like my favorite coming out scene from a movie is from Love, Simon. Simon like knows his mom would be accepting of him being gay, and like he's terrified to come out to her. And like no matter how understanding your parents are or your friends, there's this voice in your head that's like they won't be accepting of you, and like it eats at you. And in the scene, like he comes out to her and she says like, you get to exhale now and you get to like be yourself. And I think that's really important. And on that, just on this topic, I think it's also important to talk to people about the people who never get to come out. I have some important people in my life that haven't come out to their families or come out to certain people because they're terrified of how they'll react. And it's a fear of losing a part of your identity if they decide like to disown you. And all you're asking for is for them to accept you, and sometimes they don't. So, and there's a whole big part of the community who have long since passed away who never got the chance to come out. So I just think it's important when we're talking about coming out to talk about all of it. Like, it's not all sunshine and roses, and it's not one big fanfare moment. And you have to make sure that you're safe when you do it. So.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That was a big answer. Thank you. Yeah. On that, I know there's been a lot of talk about, sometimes it's not safe to come out to people. And I think for parents, often like this is really kind of a fraught thing. They want to be supportive and respond well, but they don't always know how. So what is kind of the ideal solution for a parent in that scenario? What do they need to know about how to respond when a kid comes out to them?
I think that this is a really interesting question, because I think the reason why like parents are always so concerned when their kids come out, it's a lack of education and like a generational gap. And like the truth is there's no best way to respond to your kid as long as you're offering your kid acceptance. When I came out to my mom, she was like, "You're not telling me anything I haven't already known." And then my dad, like, he was just like, "Okay," like it, and then I have some friends who, their coming out story is really funny. I have a friend who came out in the middle of a Steak and Shake, just like blurted it out, and their family just laughed. Like sometimes it's really easy. And like, I think the only thing that parents really need to do is like give your kid acceptance. And they need to know that like your child is the same kid that they were 10 minutes before they told you. Like, even if your view of your child has changed, I can guarantee you that they've been carrying the weight around for a long time, and they have been waiting for the like quote unquote perfect moment to tell you. And it's not always perfect. Sometimes you don't respond well and your kid doesn't like respond well to you not responding well. But I think as long as you're giving your child acceptance and you're telling them like, okay, you are who you are, like this doesn't change how I feel about you, that's all they really need in that moment. And I've talked with some parents in my career where they don't have a problem that their kid is gay or transgender, but their only fear is their kid's safety. So I know that like that can make their reaction warped as well, because they spend their entire life raising this child and nurturing them and watching the news, and they're terrified. And I can understand that. So if you can give your child a space to authentically be themselves, the rest will come with time. They will find a community, they will find safe places to go, and they will find, fierce protectors within this community. But the first line of defense needs to be you. It needs to be the parent. And something that I always think about is like, don't be your kid's first bully. Like, if your kid is going to come out to you, don't be a bully to them. And I think that resonates with parents. And if you are struggling to accept your child's identity due to like personal beliefs, I would recommend some therapy for you, like family therapy, individual therapy, and to like process that and like understand where those feelings come from. And like I've done a lot of work with families on the importance of acceptance, even if you don't grasp anything. And I think that's really beneficial. So.
Yeah. Wow. I think that is absolutely the right answer. I think that all kids, they need their parents' love, they need their parents' acceptance. So I think that is an excellent starting point. So Shelby, thank you so much for answering all of these questions. I know it's a huge subject, and I know there's a lot more to say about it, but I think this is a really, really great place to start.
Yeah, I know. You try to condense it down, and it's more complex. There's a lot of different avenues and things, but I just, number one thing for the LGBTQ youth is to stay safe, and to, coming out is for you. And then for parents, be your kid's first line of defense. And, if you're worried about their safety, then talk to them and have open conversations. And if you don't understand something, ask your kid, because don't get caught up in what you see on the news or what you read online. Like your kid knows what they're going through. And I think that having open communication is really important. So
Yeah, absolutely. And if you or your family are going through this, we have a place for you here at Mindsight. We do LGBTQ plus affirming care. We do family counseling and individual counseling. So all of that is readily available here with us. So just give us a call or stop by our website to learn more. That's it. Shelby, thanks so much.
thank you.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.